welcome back to another family channel. I'm Jacob Books Corner, and today we are in the book corner talking about books. We're going to go over the 31 books I read in December, I'm so sorry, of 2023 to wrap up that end of the year. I decided this year one of the things I'm going to do is throw out a stat at the very beginning, be like, oh, this is what the average star rating is, or the average amount of pages I read this year. I feel like it's kind of fun, and so this is all about star ratings, because there are 31 books, and so I think it's really interesting to compare 31 to the amount of stars that I gave to each book. We're not going to talk about them individually, or we're not going to talk 1 star, 1.2, type of thing, because I had some varying star ratings as well. I think I had almost every star across the board this month, but the average rating was a 3.64 star, with the majority of them being over a 3. There was at least 10 that were just a normal 3-star. Everything else was either below a 3 or above a 3. Only a few standouts really, in which we'll talk about them as we go along. We're gonna go along in chronological order, so let's get going. I started out the month with The Battle of Labyrinth, which is book number 4 in Percy Jackson and the Olympians is the series, book number 4. I have a whole video talking about this, so I'll talk briefly about it. I really enjoyed book number 4. It was one of the better ones in my opinion in that series. I gave it a 4.25. Yeah, I don't know. It follows Percy as he goes into a labyrinth, and that's all I really can say about it. There's parts of it, this is one of the longest reviews in the entire video, by the way, because I had some parts of it that I truly hated, but I liked it a good amount. Then I went into Read Charming Young Man, which I also have in another video, so I'll link for you, which was a 5-star prediction video, and I ended up ranking it quite a bit. I think I gave it a 4.5 overall, mostly because I didn't realize it was a true story, so there's some stuff that played out at the end. I care for this about a painter in the 1800s, or not painter, sorry, violinist in the 1800s, who ends up getting brought into this orchestra, but also this group of people. He's also trying to figure out his sexuality, and it's one of the most nuanced ways I've ever seen anybody talk about figuring out your sexuality in a time of where you can't figure out your sexuality. That was really good, so I do recommend it. It's Elliot Schaefer's next novel after The Darkness Outside of Us, which was my favorite book of 2022. So then I read Page Boy by Elliot Page. This was a 5-star read. Obviously, I don't think any memoirs on my top 10 this year. Not because I didn't read good memoirs. I read a shit ton of memoirs. I don't know. I think I've mostly stuck to fiction. I think next year I'm gonna put it in a subcategory for a memoir, my favorite memoir of the year, and then also my favorite nonfiction of the year. As you're gonna see, we're gonna try to read more nonfiction this year. It's one of the goals. With that being said, Page Boy, this follows Elliot Page's life from the time that he is, 4 or 5 to present day. Most of it takes place while he is in the industry, going through these things, being outed, figuring out that no, I'm not a lesbian, I'm this, and all this other stuff. And I think it's such a nuanced trail of transitioning, but also I think reading someone who was transitioning or wanting to transition from such a young age because they feel something so wrong inside them that it's not a sexuality thing, it's a gender thing. Very transformative. It's very eye-opening for people who I don't think have ever experienced that type of content before. So I would highly, highly recommend you pick up Page Boy. Loved it. Oh my god, I do own a book. I just put it up. I didn't realize I regret this. We have Chain of Thorns by Cassandra Clare. Chain of Thorns is the final book in the Last Hours trilogy. I read this from my review, which I'll link it as well. Oh my god, so many videos for you to watch if you were curious. Chain of Thorns, I really enjoyed it. This one, the series is the children of the Unfold Devices, which is the one with the man behind me where the dead unicorn is on that side. It's their children, and this is what that follows and things. I don't spoil anything for you. I recommend looking at that video. It is a very long video. I think it comes in an hour and 45 or something. I'm gonna try never make a reading vlog. I swear we reading vlog that long ever again. Do not worry. I will have to say the ending, which I do have a chapter time for it, will tell you where to go next in case you're curious and you just want some resolutions for the end of this story. So if that's something you're interested in, I recommend going and watching that video. The next one is Family War by Liz Lostato. I read Family War and I was so nervous I wasn't gonna like it, and I did not like it. It was a 3.25. I felt like some of the things didn't really necessarily work for me. This is about a family, kind of to phrase this, Encanto, I guess, was the best. I watched someone talk about it and they're like, oh, it's kind of like a Encanto if you just take the magical elements of it, and I was like, oh, okay. And that's kind of how I would describe it as well. You would take just the magical elements. It is about this family. You're going through several generations of their life leading up into a funeral, but all of them have several magic powers. Some of them have it in weird ways and other ways. And I do have a vlog coming out later on this month that is talking about these books entirely, and so it'll be in that vlog. I'm talking about more a little bit more why this book didn't really work for me on all the levels, because I do love Elizabeth Salcedo, and I will read anything she puts out, adult or not. So this does not persuade me to just read her young adult or her poetry or anything. I will read more. I think this is a good test ground, and I'm excited to see where she gets when she has better footing. This one got a 3.25. By the way. Then I read Happy Place by Emily Henry. Happy Place by Emily Henry was in my top 10 books of the year because it was so good. I loved it so much. It was a 5-star read. This one follows a man and a woman who have to go back to their childhood best friend's home for this summer that they do every year, and it's the last one they're gonna be there, and so they decide that they will fake their engagement because they're supposed to be engaged but they're not engaged. It's a whole thing. Everything goes wrong, and it's beautiful, and I loved it. I love the characters. There's a scene where they get high, which I really enjoyed. So yeah, let's continue onwards. Then I read Silver Nitrate by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I did not like Silver Nitrate. It's a solid 3, so I would recommend it in case you guys are curious. It's my first ever Silvia Moreno Garcia. I've heard some other stuff are better, so I'll continue to pick up this author for sure. It just went on for too long, and I would definitely have declared it a novella. It should have been a novella, I mean. So it's about a girl who's obsessed with this old filmmaker who made this really hard to find movie type of thing, and so they find the filmmaker, and so they decide to complete it, and supposedly it is a spell that you can say, grant you best wishes and things like that. And obviously it takes a very dark turn. The next one I read was The Last Olympians, which is the final book in Percy Jackson and the Olympians. And so I have a whole spoilery vlog talking about this. I gave it a 4. I said it was solid. That's basically all I need to say about it as well. Another very long review, very long summarization and stuff in that video in case you guys are interested. And I read Broken Perfect Lies by Katie Weismer. This is the Katie Weismer I chose to read. I'm planning on reading Ruthless Ends this month. My question for you guys, do you want Ruthless Ends and this one to be broken up into 2 different vlogs? Because I have the last one, I've had the footage for a long time now, fully out, but I don't know if you guys want that into a separate vlog or not. A part of me feels like I shouldn't put them together and I should do separates. I'll think about that. With that being said, I read Broken Perfect Lies. This is a bodyguard romance, kind of like Hannah Montana-esque. It's pretty steamy, it's very fun. I didn't love everything about it, especially once we got down to the nitty-gritty part, but it is a 4.5 stars, and it will be in that vlog coming up relatively soon. Then I read The Writing Retreat from Julia Bartz. This is about a group of people who are writers who end up going off to this very remote place with this very famous author who tells them, if you write a novel while you're here in I don't know, it's 17 days or something like that. If you write a novel while you're here, we'll get you published immediately if I love it, type of thing. And it turns dark and spooky. I gave it a 3.5 stars because I really didn't I would say the last 20% of the novel. I felt like when it opened up, it was a perfect 5, and then it's just flatlined for me personally. The next one I read for a Santa video where I read 3 smutty Santa books. I'll link it as well. And that is A Kiss for Santa by Nanowrimo. I ended up giving this one a solid 3 stars. There's a lot about this that I didn't like that I talk more about there. How Santa, I feel because for instance in this one, he grows up with Santa, they become best friends, he ends up they go through this whole entire phase of where he only dates people that look like Santa and things. And I don't know, it just seemed really weird to me, very groomy. The story itself is very cute. It's the cutest and fluffiest one that I read throughout this entire thing. I feel like it does really embark on that Christmas spirit. So I would recommend, I guess, in that case. But you know that the relationship just feels very odd for me personally. I don't know if it would feel odd for you. I gave it a 3. Most people do like it though. Next one is In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune. I also gave this one a 3 stars. I just kind of got bored. I can't remember exactly why. I can't understand exactly why. This one, I also really don't remember what it's about. Yes, I wouldn't recommend it in that case here. It didn't leave any lasting impressions. For TJ Klune himself, I think we're going to go into his paranormal stuff outside of all these cozy fantasy, because the only one I really liked was the first one. Now, he does have a new one, which was going to be in my 2024 list for a sequel to one of those that I'll read this year, but we're going to try Wolfsong and stuff like that instead. Alright, moving on. We have Santa's Secrets by Casey Wells. So, Santa's Secrets, I gave a... What did I give it? I guess I gave it a 2. The 2 biggest takeaways here is, one, it's a cool cover. It's a real cover, which is also cool. Love that. It is another one where it follows Santa who interacts with a younger boy. I think he's 14 at the time. And this one is a very much more mature and serious story. So if you're looking for a lot more, not inks, but so much more seriousness, this is the way to go. It all takes place in one location for the majority of the time, and it's all in these little segments. I talked about it in that vlog much more in depth. I have to say, I didn't like Santa. This could be a slight spoiler. Didn't like Santa bottoming. That's all I got. let's move on. We have The Witch and the Vampire by Francis Flores. This one, it was supposed to be like a Rapunzel retelling. I didn't get the vibes at all. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of got the vibes by the end, but I didn't get the vibes really at all. I gave it a 2.75. This is a hate to love, which is more like someone is pining for the other, but in reality, they're both pining for each other, so I wouldn't really call it true hate to love. And the writing was not great. I would say the best part of the book is from 25% to 75% was where the key, the goodness is. And then anything before the 25% or anything after the 75% mark, I hated. This one follows a girl who grows up, who gets turned into a vampire and has to be away from everybody type of thing. And then we have a hunter who's hunting this vampire who believes she murdered her mother, and that's kind of what the whole story is about. It's a lot more complicated than that, but that's the simplest answer I got you. I gave it a 2.75. Could not care for it, but it will be in the vlog. Up to Still Good, which was the last one that I read for that romance video, and I gave it a 3-star. This is about a baker and a rich person. So the rich person comes in to order a thing for this party. He's really rude. They end up chatting. He ends up coming in and helping save the bakery. Very hallmarky. Oh my god, there are some things in here that are shocking. The steamy stuff in here, the smut, is so shocking. It comes out of left field. It happens so quickly. There's no build up to it, in my opinion. And it's so, you have to read it to believe it, to be honest with you. So maybe that's what will get you to read it. I don't know. I didn't care for it as much. Then I read a bunch of Attack on Titans. Let's just run through them, because I personally feel like I read so many of them, I don't want to talk about them volume to volume. I'm just going to summarize it by holding up the first book's cover. So I read Attack on Titans Volume 1, which I gave it a 4-star. Attack on Titans Volume 2, which I gave a 5-star. Attack on Titans Volume 3, which I gave a 4-star. And Attack on Titans Volume 4, which I gave a 3-star. And Attack on Titans Volume 5, which I gave a 4-star. And the reason why I'm reading a bunch of Attack on Titans is because I missed the TV show. I refinished it, I want to say, very beginning of the month. I want to say December 7th or 8th or something like that we finished Attack on Titans. And it's my favorite TV show of the time. I don't know if you can see them, but I have Aaron up there. Oh, I have Aaron. You see where the hate you give? That's Aaron. And Mika sits behind me with the pride flag. And then I have an actual Titan that I got for Christmas. I have a few other things I got for Christmas that are Attack on Titan space as well. I love the show, and so I was like, oh, let's read the manga. And as you can tell, I kind of like the manga. I don't love the manga. I think the TV show is a bit better. But yeah, this follows a town, as well as an island, where Titans do attack eventually, sometimes, and the story begins when Aaron, who's right there, who's much older there, is 6 or 7. He's young. There's a big Titan that attacks, and then we jump 5 years in the future of where, yeah, it's a whole thing. It's fun. I recommend it. Love the anime. It's one of the best I've ever seen. Also, you can watch it all now, which is worth it. But that's Attack on Titan, so let's move over to more Rick Gordon. Let's talk about The Lost Hero. This is a vlog that is coming to you relatively soon. I'm trying to figure out if I can finish the books in time to get it out on its particular day I want to get it out, but it will be out this week at some point. This is the first book in the Hero Olympians series, and I adored this one. I don't want to tell you the exact star rating to give it away, but it was a 5. It was a 5. I just gotta tell you anyways. This follows a group of new kids, written in third person, recorded, you genius dude. It follows Leo, Piper, and Jason as they are taken to Camp Half-Blood, and then they go on a quest, and that's all I got for you. The whole spoilery thing talking about it, don't you worry. I loved it so much. Then let's go through the graphic novels that I read. I read several graphic novels, mostly because I had built up quite a bit on my Comic Sexology account of books that I felt would be interesting to read, and I just couldn't find time throughout the year. Normally I dedicate a weekend, almost once a month, a weekend where I read nothing but poetry and graphic novels to try to catch up on all those things. And this past year I just didn't do any of that, so here we are, wrapping it up at the very end of the year. So let's go through them. We have Nail Biters, Volume 1, There Will Be Blood. This is about a serial killer that bites off people's nails. It's pretty gross, so it's a pretty violent one. I give it a 3. I will probably continue on in the series. We have Fables Volume 1, Legends in Exile. So here's the thing with Fables Volume 1. I had no idea this was based off the game. It's a Telltale game that I played, and I just loved the game so much more. So I gave this one, it's more like a 2.75. Was not great. Did not love it. Maybe you will. Then we have the next one, which is Bastards Full of Heads, which is a Joe Hill one. This is a full-length novel, graphic novel. It has all the issues and stuff in it, and I hate it. It's about a girl who gets attacked in a home, who finds a magical axe, and she gets a basket full of heads, is all I'll say. Did not like it. I gave it a 2. Yeah, I'd say like a 2. The next one is Nice House on the Lake. This is volume 1. There are 2 volumes in total. The second volume is devised, so I'm going to figure out if I can find it somewhere else. But this one I absolutely adored and would recommend for sure. If you like weird twisty stuff, Leave the House, Leave the World at the end. You know, that one with Julia Roberts, which I felt like was an okay book. But then if you liked Bird Box and things like that, very similar premise. It's about a group of people who go and stay at this house and then the whole world explodes, and yet they're secluded so they don't die, type of thing. And it was super good, very well written, very weirdly drawn and things. Would recommend, was a 4. And then we have Grimm's Fairy Tale. Did not realize this was a single issue when I read it. I did give it a 3. I don't remember anything about it though. Then we have Scooby Apocalypse Volume 1. I feel like the concept here was so cool, but so underwritten and just not as like fun as I was expecting. I'm going to continue on in the series. I've heard nothing but good things, and so I'm curious to see more, but I gave it a 3 on its initial run. Then I finished off my Red Sonia, which was volume 3, which I've been reading the entire year, and I will have to say this is the weakest one out of them all, and it sucks that this is the final one that Gail Simone, who I don't typically like as a writer, did. This one has a lot of flashbacks and things in it, but I very much enjoyed it, the series overall, but I gave this one a 3. Then I read Walking Dead volume 2, Miles Behind Us, and I hated it. It was a 2-star. Don't get me started. I vlog eventually coming out, I don't know when, talking about my reread experience and like the whole experience for The Walking Dead, only because like it's one of my favorite TV shows of all time, and I've never finished the graphic novels, and so I wanted to like vlog the experience for you. Then I read Lazarus volume 2, which you guys don't, if you guys remember, I gave the first volume like a 4.75. I love that thing. This one got a 3, so it didn't continue on in a great way, so like I don't know if I'll continue on with it. And then lastly, my final book I read this year, which I vlogged about, is Slayers by Amber Benson and a few other people. This is a Audible original, and I hated it. I didn't like it. You know, you watched the vlog. I'll link you over to it for my full entire follower. Spoiler thoughts and opinions. It was a 2.75 star. To me, I read like really shitty fan fiction. Yeah, some of those things will help me. But that being said, we'll also quickly talk about Buffy-a-thon. Buffy-a-thon is currently going on. We are currently in the middle of watching season 1. The halfway mark of season 1 is the live show, which is episode 6, which people have voted out to be the worst episode of the season. I don't necessarily know if I agree with that, but that's okay. And it's I, Robot Eugene. So we'll be talking about that one and doing a live watch along. And then also, I will have a full entire spoilerly discussion video coming out the very end of the month, talking about Buffy Vampire Season 1. We'll move on to Buffy Vampire Season 2, which will have 2 live shows next month. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you guys all very soon. Please let me know what your favorite book of the month is, and what your least favorite book. My least favorite book was definitely Slayers, and not such a big disappointment in my opinion. My favorite book, I'd probably get to Happy Place as well. It was just so good. But that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and goodbye.